What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another special Fantasy Alarm live stream. We're doing our Fantasy League Legends, and we're picking from the 90s. Last week, if you caught the live stream that we had we did the 80s last week. Both Craig. Oh, hi, Craig. How are you? I didn't see you standing there. Why are you so? You should be socially distant from me right now.
Gotta move back a little. I don't know. Sales tells me I gotta sit right here. I can't move.
All right, well, let me sit back just a scotch there. Okay, I'm good. Craig, why don't you explain to everybody what we're doing here? Sure. This was your baby, so promote.
Sure, no problem. So what we decided to do was put together 4 different fantasy drafts, and we're drafting the 80s, the 90s, 2010 through 2019, and of course 2000 through 2009. I went a little out of order there. So the last 4 decades of baseball and in fantasy baseball, and essentially between out of the park sports and real-time sports, what we've done is create a player pool that includes the best season from every individual player over the last 40 years, from 1980 all the way through 2019. The caveat to these drafts is that you're only allowed to take the individual player once. So essentially, there have been a lot of great seasons of Alex Rodriguez in the last 30 years, and a lot of great seasons of Sammy Sosa and Pedro Martinez and Mark McGwire. But within the draft decade, it's the best season that you have available. So therefore, out of the 14 teams that are going to be drafting tonight, only one person will end up with Barry Bonds, only one person will end up with Mark McGwire, only one person will end up with John Smoltz, and so on. And so essentially, it's a 28-round draft. But although it is a fantasy draft, Howard, after we're done, all of these teams will get populated and sent over to our friends at Out of the Park Sports. They put the league together, and the 14 teams are going to play against each other in a tournament style, but essentially a 162-game regular season. The 4 different league champions will play against each other, and inevitably we will crown a champion at the end. I think we learned a lot from the 80s, that's for sure, Howard, last week when we did the draft. We didn't find a lot of power. We didn't find a lot of pitchers striking out guys. We found a lot of speed, and that's kind of how the draft went. That was the 80s. A couple of guys hit 40 home runs, Jose Canseco, Mike Schmidt. That was about it. Top pitchers, Mike Scott, Dwight Gooden. That was about it. But boy, that has certainly changed in the 1990s. We had an era from 1990 through 1999, Howard, where everyone remembers the home run chase of 98. Those guys are involved in this. Everyone remembers Cy Young Award candidates striking out 300 guys. They're in this. The ERAs went way up, and so did the power numbers. And so in the 14 teams we have in the league, we're already about midway through the first round, and so we can kind of dive in and tell everybody who got taken where.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, I think that it's very important to note that because we are going to pit these teams the champions all against each other, right? And see who the best decade is. So it's interesting to see, you've got all of these burners in the 80s, all the power from the steroids in the 90s and the 2000s. You're going to see that as well.
That's right.
So it's going to be very tough to match up against those decades just because of the sheer number of power. I was looking at the numbers earlier and just laughing about the home runs in the 90s. And let's take into the fact here that we're also playing this decade like 1 year short, because who had a career year in the 94 season, when they shut it down early.
That's a fair point too. In fact, I didn't see anyone from 94 in this draft. So
I saw Steve Howe from 94.
Well, I got Steve Howe in the last draft. So essentially, look, for people who didn't follow the 80s, Howard makes a really good point. You're going to be playing in the 80s with a lot of stolen bases. You're going to have 3 or 4 guys maybe with 50 stolen bases because you're kind of drafting a fantasy team, but in the end, you're playing 9 guys. So you have the ability to have 2 outfielders with 15 home runs and 70 steals. Now, that all changed in the 90s, especially the late 90s when the home runs started coming in. Everyone remembers those iconic careers for Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa in 1998. Mark McGwire had 70 home runs. Sammy Sosa had 66, so of course they're going to be at the top of this draft. Alex Rodriguez and Ken Griffey Jr., both in 1996, had unbelievable years with the Seattle Mariners. They're going to be heavily wanted.
How about everybody from Coors, man? Right? Larry Walker,
Coors
Dante
Field
Bichette.
takes over. Yeah, and in the 2000s as well. So to kind of go through it, so we don't fall too far behind. The first overall pick was Larry Walker of 1997. He won the National League MVP that year with the Colorado Rockies, and it shouldn't be a huge surprise there. Second pick overall, let me scroll down here, sorry, was Ken Griffey Jr. of 1996, which is arguably one of his best seasons. Alex Rodriguez had better seasons than 1996 when you go ahead and you look at it, and some of them also in the 2000s as well. But because of WAR being a factor, some of the defensive metrics also goes into this. Keep that in mind as we move along. So A-Rod was the third pick overall. Barry Bonds of 1993 was the fourth pick. Sosa and McGuire went back-to-back. Sosa of 98, McGuire of 98 with the fifth and sixth pick. Howard mentioned Coors Field. We're going to have a lot of those guys involved near. Ellis Burks had a great career with the Red Sox, but we're throwing all that out for that 1 year that he had in Colorado in 1996. First two pitchers off the board were Randy Johnson and Pedro Martinez. Pedro Martinez in 1999 and 2000 put together the two best years of his Hall of Fame career. He's picked from 99. We'll see him again in the 2000 draft coming up. Randy Johnson struck out 364 batters in 1999. He's the eighth pick overall. Martinez the ninth. Manny Ramirez of 99 was the 10th pick. Cecil Fielder in that one magical 50 home run season that he had in 1990 with the Tigers is the 10th pick overall. Albert Bell, who to me is probably the most underrated hitter in the history of the game. This guy had like a 50 home run, 50 double season in 98. He's the 12th pick. Roger Clemens of 97 is the 13th pick. And then Curt Schilling rounds us out in the first round. So four pitchers going in the first round between Schilling, Clemens, Pedro Martinez, and the big unit, Randy Johnson.
I mean, again, four pitchers who Randy and Pedro were a step above everybody. Everybody. Really as great as Clemens and Schilling were in what was it, 97? Yes. And even guys like Maddox and Smoltz, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot of the Braves in the 90s as well. Johnson and Pedro were head and shoulders above everybody. I mean, it was like when we were doing
a lot of Hall of Famers from this era. I mean,
sure, absolutely.
Like every guy who's being drafted is in the Hall of Fame, essentially.
But it's funny as we're like wrapping around here and we go into round two even. A lot of those pitchers are coming off the board. Maddox, Smoltz, Kevin Brown are off the board. But I mean, I love diving into it now. Juan Gonzalez at 93.
Yeah, which Gonzalez won 2 MVPs.
Yeah, I mean,
people forget about him as well.
How about Piazza?
Well,
I was going to say, how about what?
Let's get to Sean Green here. 1999, Sean Green. Let's check out what he did. People forget how good this guy was. First of all, Sean Green had 3 different years of 40 home runs, Howard. 3 different seasons. One with the Blue Jays, and then 2 with the Dodgers in the 2000s. His best season in 1999, where he was an all-star, he finished top 10 in the MVP, also won the Gold Glove, 42 homers, 123 runs driven in, 20 stolen bases, 309, 384 on-base percentage in 1999 for Sean Green, which was by far the best season of his career.
Yeah, listen, I mean, again, every greatest year of his career in the late 90s, you always have to kind of take with a grain of salt here. I mean, especially 3 picks later, Brady Anderson comes off the board from 96.
One great year for Brady Anderson. I was talking about that in the last draft, 1996, 50 home runs, right?
Right. Now,
go ahead.
There's
so much I want to say.
I know. Well, I was going to say from a fantasy standpoint, I wanted to talk about Mike Piazza coming off in the second round. Like, you want to talk about catchers head and shoulders above, anybody else. I mean, Piazza, yeah, you had guys. I mean, Todd Hundley hit 41 home runs in 96. And you look at the rest of the catchers, the numbers don't even come close to that 97 season of Piazza. 40 home runs, 124 RBI, 104 runs, swiped 5 bags, hit 362. Hit 362.
As a catcher. How did that happen? I don't even remember that. Okay, another Coors Field player has gone off the board. So in the first 3 rounds, we've had 2 rounds. We've had 3 Rockies. you would never dream of taking Vinny Castilla, right? But Vinny Castilla, 96, 40 home runs. 97, 40 home runs. We're using his season from 1998, 46 home runs, 144 runs driven in, 319, 362 OBP.
So who do we have? We have Ellis Burks, we've got Vinny Castilla, and
Larry Walker.
And Larry Walker. It is, I mean, amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, it's not even steroid era. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just a bunch of guys just hitting 40 bombs. So Castilla was second round pick, 10th overall, followed by Jeff Bagwell. So this is our first 1994 pick. Bagwell was the MVP in that strike-shortened season of 1994. I believe he was 30-30 that season. Roberto Alomar of 99, Nomar Garciaparra. His best season is now off the board in the second round, and then Barry Larkin, the Hall of Famer, goes off the board, followed by another season of Howard Johnson. Howard Johnson had two 30-30 seasons, one in the 80s, one in the 90s. I mean, I wouldn't have even guessed that.
I got to tell you, I don't understand why Bags would be rated so high in that season. He didn't go 30-30, 15 steals, 39 home runs. I mean, he hit 367.
Maybe they extrapolated over what if he would have had the full season. Maybe that's the way that Out of the Park did it. 110 games, he drove in 116 home runs. 368, I think that was a pretty good year, Howard.
I'm not saying it wasn't a good year. I'm just saying.
He led the league in runs, RBIs, slugging, OPS plus, total bases, and won the MVP, Gold Glove, and Silver Slugger.
He's no 91 Howard Johnson, that's for sure.
Yeah. And then Bagwell's going to have some good seasons in the 2000s too.
Oh my God, yeah! A lot of these guys are going to have some good seasons in the 2000s, no doubt about it.
Pitching wise, you want to go over who's left here on the board? Best pitchers available, the ones who are off the board thus far: Randy Johnson of 99, Schilling of 97, Pedro Martinez of 99, Clemens of 97, Smoltz of 96, Kevin Brown of 1998. Remember, after 97, he won the World Series with the Marlins, and then they traded him to the Padres. He went to the World Series with the Padres in 1998 against the Yankees. Okay, so here's Jose Rijo's also off the board, 2.48 ERA. 227 strikeouts. Howard, people forget how good Hideo Nomo was in his first couple of seasons. Hideo Nomo in 96, 234 strikeouts, 16 wins, and a whip of 1.16. Let's see what other pitchers are available here.
Kerry Wood from 98.
98, yep, 233 Ks, 13 wins, 1.21. Jeff Facero, I don't even remember the season that he had with the Expos in 96. 15 wins, 3.330 ERA, 2.22 strikeouts. But I got to tell you, the pitcher who just went off the board a couple of picks ago,
Eck?
We got to review Dennis Eckersley's season.
Sure.
Of 0.61 ERA, 48 saves, and 73 strikeouts with a .61 whip. I mean, what would that be worth in fantasy right now?
Amazing.
He'd be like the first pick overall. Are you kidding me?
To have a closer like that, that would be ridiculous. I mean,
a .61 ERA for a whole season?
What's amazing is the way Eck turned his whole career around, like resurrected his career as a closer. I mean, that was unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, listen, those numbers are ridiculous. You do see some good numbers from a few of the closers here.
A lot of the closers, yeah.
ERA-wise, yeah. I mean, Bobby Thigpen, Trevor Hoffman.
Remember, that's when Thigpen broke the Major League record with 57 saves. 1.04 whip, 1.83 ERA. Trevor Hoffman, yeah, you're right. Great season for him as well.
Jose Mesa in 95 was a great season for him. 46 saves, a 1.12 ERA. Jeez.
The highest rated, the Marlins came into play in 1993, and Brian Harvey was their closer, and he put together one of the best closing seasons ever, 73 strikeouts, 1.70 ERA, .84 whip. And that was in an expansion team season, too. Closers in the 90s were a lot more stable than you saw.
That's fair to say.
Than you see nowadays.
It's amazing. Like, you could look through the numbers here, just the names. I mean, when you talk about guys like Jeff Shaw, Rob Nen, Billy Wagner, even guys like Roberto Hernandez and John Rocker, these guys were still racking up saves. Percival. How about Troy Percival here in 96? 100 strikeouts, a 2.31 ERA, 36 saves, a .93 whip.
Yeah, I think if I'm participating in this league, I'm not, outside of the Eckersley season, which I may even make my first overall pick. That's how ridiculous this is. I mean, you're going to get somebody good, Howard, to close these games out, Like, I mean, there's just so many guys to choose from here. So I probably would be shooting for home runs with some stolen bases. Other players who have gone off the board, Jose Canseco of 1990, 37 home runs and 101 runs driven in. He wasn't stealing as much then. He only stole 19 bases. Ken Caminiti, rest in peace, in his best season of 1996, 40 home runs, 130 runs driven in, 326. I believe he won the MVP that year. We got our first Chipper Jones sighting of 1998, 34 home runs, 107 runs driven in, and 16 stolen bases. Jay Buhner of 96. Wow, Howard, Jay Buhner.
That one hurts. That one hurts.
So they had Jay Buhner, A-Rod, and Griffey? Wow. 44 home runs for Jay Buhner.
That one's going to leave a mark. That one's definitely going to leave a mark. Well, let me ask you, would you, when you're doing this, let's say you're playing this out from just a roto fantasy standpoint, which I guess we are, right? We are.
I mean, you're playing head-to-head games against
true. So when we talk about this because back then in the late 90s, it was like if you could lock down saves and steals, category one, I mean, like you see, everybody's hitting for power.
Yeah, there's so much of it, and I don't think it's running out. What are you going
for in this?
Yeah, I think that you're closer to where we are now, where you're going for the guys that hit home runs and steal bases, because there's not a lot of that out there. And when you look just basically and you populate the stolen bases that are out there amongst like everybody else that are left, Vince Coleman, who you got in the last draft, he stole 77 bases in 1990, but he only hit 6 home runs. Kenny Lofton, who was an unbelievable leadoff hitter, 70 stolen bases, 325 batting average, but only 1 home run. And then you're down to Roger Cedeno, Chucky Carr from the 93 Marlins, Shannon Stewart, Lance Johnson. There's no one hitting 20-20 or even 30-30. So that's a big change from the last draft that we were in. There was a lot of 20-20s, 20-50, 20-60, and not so much in this one for sure.
Well, let me ask you about a couple of guys here, because what I love to do is I love to see when I go through the draft room, I see, who are the top guys who are being overlooked right now, who aren't being drafted for a particular reason. Andres Galarraga, marked down here. He just went off the board. Look at that. Good job, Andres. But he 44 home runs, 121 RBI, 103 runs scored, 7 steals, a 305 average, another Colorado product. When you look at guys like him, Moises Alou, who's sitting on the board right now with 38 home runs, 11 steals, a 312 average, 120. Like, why are these guys still sitting there? It's not. Are people drafting still based on the fact that this guy is anything but the player he was that season?
Maybe so. I think a lot of our players in this one are drafting more for fantasy than reality. I think they have to make it a little bit of a mix more than when they are. I'll give you an example. So far at the middle infield position, we're almost through 4 rounds. So between second base and shortstop, we only have, as far as I can see, 7 players total between second base and shortstop that have been taken off the board. So a lot of those players are still out there. There's no way at this stage that Derek Jeter shouldn't be taken. Derek Jeter in 1999 hit 349 with 24 home runs and 102 runs driven in. People are drafting guys that just have 15 more home runs. You're going to have to fill the shortstop position. So I would dig down there. Another great fantasy season in 1996, Chuck Knobloch. People forget how good Knobloch is before he got to the Yankees. When he was on the Twins.
The 40 stolen bases, 45 steals?
45 steals, 341 batting average with 13 home runs, 72 RBIs. So I would, at this point, start attacking the middle infield. The most home runs from any middle infielder that's still left on the board is Jeff Kent, who had 31 home runs, 128 runs driven in. Maybe one day he'll end up getting in the Hall of Fame. But, of course, now Jeter goes off the board. But 349, Howard, for Derek Jeter in that season. The only one with a higher batting average that's left is no one. Looks like they're all gone. So Chuck Knobloch would be next. 45 stolen bases. But not all. But people are afraid of the power. If you haven't gotten your power by now, what are you doing? Everyone has power. You're going to be able to get this at some point.
Yeah, look at some of these names still. You've got Vladimir Guerrero from 98 with 38 home runs, 11 steals, 324. Brian Giles.
99. Wow, he had a couple of huge years. Yeah, Brian Giles with the Pirates, 315, 39 home runs. David Justice, 40 home runs, 120 runs driven in. So, yeah, there's still power to be had, but the middle infield is a really good attack. I probably wouldn't be going closer. I think I could probably wait on those guys. I would be attacking starting pitching and middle infield. Couple of other, starting seasons of guys with 200 strikeouts or more that are still left. Alex Fernandez with the White Sox in 96, 16 wins, 200 Ks, 3.45 ERA. Darryl Kyle, rest in peace, 19 wins. Wow, what a season he had. 2.57 earned run average and 205 strikeouts as well. Frank Viola won 20 games in 1990, 2.67 earned run average, 182 strikeouts.
You got a couple of 20-game winners there. Dave Stewart's still on the board with 22 wins. Mike Hampton in 99, he had 22 wins.
Pat Henkin. Pat Henkin had that one great year.
Sean Estes, look at that. See, it's so funny just looking at some of the names. Some of the names here, like this, like in the late 90s, I was in a rotating poker game in New York. And one of the guys' dads wanted to start up a fantasy baseball league with like a bunch of his buddies from work. And then, he asked his son, I'm like, did anybody, at your poker table want to play? So we all decided to play. And we turned it into a 17-team league, 5x5 roto. And this was in the late 90s where we were just, putting all sorts of money on it. It was like real money. Dan Crinion, who was in the
in the last one.
And the last one was actually in one of the spin-offs from this league, his team, the Flying Buddhas. But so going through some of these names here and just looking through it, my wife, when my wife got involved in fantasy baseball, because she was the only woman who sat at the poker table. And we said to her, basically, you can do one of two things. You can join the league and play with us and jump in on all the conversations that are going to take place at the poker table every Sunday night. Sure. Or you don't join the league, and then you're left out of all the conversations at the poker table all Sunday night. So this is when you'll start hearing me talk about players like handsome Steve Finley. And boy, that Travis Lee is quite the looker, isn't he?
Now I know where you're going with that. Yeah. And
Andy
you're right about
Pettit,
those guys.
so handsome. But then she went from good looking to playful names. Pokey Reese, Gookie Dawkins, like as those names were going on. And then I think it was 2001. What was the year that Barry Bonds crushed the home run record?
It may have been 2001. That sounds right. I don't remember.
So yeah, about her like fourth or fifth year in the league, and she was tired of finishing in last. She was tired of it all, and she went and she studied anything and everything she could possibly study, and she came out and she beat the crap out of all of us in the league. I mean, like moved into first place probably like midway through the season, and then didn't even look back. Crushed it the rest of the way.
That just shows you never know. Okay, so we're in the fifth round. Let's review some picks here. Mo Vaughn, just an everyday average first baseman, 40 home runs, 115 runs driven in 1998, followed by Jim Tomei of 1997. Matt Williams was really good, Howard, at third base. People forget how good he was his 93 season. Kevin Millwood of 99. Tony Batista. I guess Tony Batista had a great year in 99. I guess so. Let me take a look here. I don't remember that.
It was like one good year, Tony
31
Batista.
homers, 100 runs driven in with the Blue Jays. Our first closer off the board here is since Eckersley is Trevor Hoffman, and then Kerry Wood.
Thigpen. The guy who took Hoffman,
he
took Thigpen right before.
Oh, he did. Okay. He's got the market cornered.
He's totally got the market cornered, man.
Only one guy can close games, though, in the big leagues. Who's still on the board? Bobby Witt of 1990. Bobby Witt, Howard, pitched on the Texas Rangers for a long time. Mm-hmm. And he would walk the park, more or less. And you could see his whip here is 1.38, but he could strike out anyone. And how crazy is it that Bobby Witt raised his son, who ended up being a top 3 pick in the June draft, and is now on the Kansas City Royals as an infielder. And so that's an interesting father and son combination that we're going to have eventually in the big leagues. Probably a couple years away from that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Bobby was.
He was in high school. He came out of high school.
So. Oh, was he last year when he was taken?
Yeah. So
okay.
It'll be a couple years, I think.
All right. Well, then we leave it up to the baby Jays. Then.
Do you remember Melito Perez?
Of course, I remember Melito Perez.
This had to be his best season. There's no doubt about that.
Only good season.
The brother of Pascual Perez, right?
Yep.
Sure. Yeah.
Pascual Perez, who had the Soul Glow going.
They both did, I think, at one point.
I love these names, Craig. These names are the best. Chuck Finley. That was a favorite of my wife's, too, until she learned that he got beaten up by Tawny Katane.
Yeah, I remember that.
Doug Drabeck. I'm just looking through, based on, here's the funny thing is the strikeouts. 19 guys had 200 strikeouts or more listed here. When you look at the drop-off, though, I mean, it's a pretty significant drop-off. Like, as quickly as you get into the 170s and 160s, there's...
Of course, yeah. I mean, there was a lot less of that happening. Also, some big hitters still available. First base was just loaded, man. Like, we loaded for days. Everyone in this league is going to have a great first baseman. Jason Giambi's still out there. 33 home runs, 123 runs driven in, 315 batting average. Also,
Carlos Delgado,
Will Clark, 29 home runs, 116 runs driven in. How about the president of the Major League Baseball Players Association, Tony Clark, 32 home runs, 117 RBIs.
God, that Detroit team, like in the late '90s, where it was like Tony Clark and Damian Easley, like their infield was. I think Dean Palmer was their third baseman. They had some decent guys there for fantasy purposes.
Mickey Tettleton.
John Olerud.
John Olerud has the highest batting average left of anybody on the board. 363, 24 home runs, 100. I mean, everyone's just going to have a good first baseman in this league. I mean, that is a huge switch from where we are now, Howard. I mean, you could find 6 or 7 guys that are really viable in fantasy now. I mean, the list just doesn't stop here. Ed Sprague, 36 home runs, 101 runs driven in.
Ed Sprague.
Wally Joyner, 21 home runs, 96 RBIs, man. 301 batting average. Todd Helton in the next era is going to be a stud.
What about the hot corner? Who's left at the hot corner? Oh, there's Dean Palmer.
Okay,
Scott
third base.
Rowland. How about Scott Rowland for the Phillies? Kelly Gruber from the Jays. He's still out there.
Chris Sabo. Remember Chris Sabo with the goggles on the Reds?
I do.
26 home runs, 19 steals, 301 batting average in 1991.
Wow, pretty meek year from Troy Gloss. 99.
He was more of a 2000s guy.
Was he a 2000s guy? It all blends together. I just don't know what's going on anymore.
Harry Pendleton in 1991. 22 homers, 86 runs driven in, 319 batting average.
Oh, there's my boy Phil Nevin in 99. 24 home runs, 269. I had him grandfathered in at the catcher position for years.
Oh, I love that.
Years. Like, I actually own a Padres jersey with Phil Nevin's name on it because I just kept him year in, year out. I actually ended up going to a game in Cincinnati, Padres, Reds, sitting behind home plate. Nevin pops one straight up, boop, lands right in my lap.
You'll never forget that story.
I'm wearing a Phil Nevin jersey, and he popped it up. I didn't even move. Amazing. I didn't even stand up for it. It just fell right in my lap.
All right, so only one catcher, Howard, off the board through 5 rounds. One catcher. It's Mike Piazza's the only one.
There's no reason to take another one. Everybody else just kind of blends together.
But a lot more home runs than we saw in the last decade from these guys. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, in the 80s, every catcher was hitting like 9 home runs.
Yeah, we have the best catchers. Darren Dalton, 27 home runs, 109 runs driven in, 11 stolen bases, 270 batting average. That's Mike Lieberthal in 1999. Howard hit 31 home runs and hit 300. Yeah. Mike Lieberthal? When did that happen? I must have missed the memo on that. Pudge Rodriguez, 20 home runs, 77 runs driven in, 313 batting average. And again, we're going by batting average here. So, I mean,
yes. Sorry. Some of these names are disgusting. I mean,
really here's a great
disgusting.
one. Jason Kendall of 1998. 320, 26 steals, 327 batting average, 12 home runs, 75 runs driven in. We got Posada, Carlton Fisk, still on the board. And the draft has kind of slowed down a little bit here. I'm going to speed this up.
Yeah, I'm looking at the draft board right now. Let's talk teams here. Let's talk what do we got? I mean, there seems to be a pretty even spread. A couple of teams, 1, 2, 3 teams, 4 teams have only one starter. That could change coming back here on the back end of round 6. But I'm looking at Raymond Segarra's team. He took Cecil Fielder to start. He took Maddox, number 2. And then, boom, Chipper Jones, Moises Alou, Maglio Ordonez from 99, and Omar Vizquel. So he's got first, he's got third, he's got short cover. He's got 2 of his 3 starting outfield positions. No better starter than Greg Maddox there.
No, but I think a lot of these teams need to start attacking starting pitching a little bit here.
They need to what?
I think a little starting pitching needs to be attacked.
Probably, yeah. I mean, like I said, who's it? Ryan's team, which is picking third. He's got David Cohn. That's it. We'll have to see. The first 3 teams picking this draft, they each only have one starter.
Yeah, I'm looking at some other possibilities here at pitcher. Brett Saberhagen of 94 with the Mets, 143 strikeouts, 14 wins. Dennis Martinez, remember El Presidente, 14 wins, 2.39 ERA.
Sure.
123 Ks. Mike Messina, wow, what a good year for Messina in 1992 with the Orioles. 241 innings, only 130 strikeouts. I guess that's why people are just shying away from the strikeouts here. But Messina ended up winning 18 games.
Grab him for the wins and stuff. How about Jeff Fassero? We haven't even said anything about Jeff Fassero, have we? 222 strikeouts. Yeah, the ERA was 3.3. What?
Yeah, we mentioned him before. I don't remember Jeff Fassero doing that at all. I don't recall that at all.
Oh, Bernard Gilkey off the board. Gilkey. Are we going to see Benny Agbayani? Is he coming too?
I know Benia's in this one.
I'm looking for Agbayani. Is he here? No.
Oh, no. Mike Hampton of Houston in 1996 won 22 games with a 2.90 ERA, 177 strikeouts. Jack McDowell of 92, I believe he won the Cy Young. 20 wins, 178 Ks, 3.18 earned run average. That must have been the best year for Sean Estes. Oh, how about Jim Abbott? Remember Jim Abbott?
Of course I remember Jim Abbott.
18 wins, 2.89, 158 Ks.
Jimmy Key, Andy Pettit, those guys. Listen, that whole run of that might as well all be Yankees. Pettit, Key, Messina, and Jim Abbott.
Yep.
All there with 18 wins, strong ERAs. The weakest on strikeouts is Messina with the 130, like you said. He's no Mark Portugal.
A lot of relievers are in this thing. I feel like we're missing some starters here. Let's search this out.
Well, Brett Saberhagen off the board.
From
94.
That was a good pick.
Eric Young, his year in Colorado in 96.
You're going to have to search that one up. I don't remember that.
Oh, really?
53 steals. I guess that's why. 324. Oh, my gosh. Boy, the Rockies had some good years, huh? How about David Wells? I haven't heard his name called. Let's see. David Wells in 1998. Yeah. 18 wins, 163 Ks, 214 innings pitched.
Oh, Craig, the names are absolutely, they're killing me right now. Mark Lemke. Carlos Febles.
Second baseman for Kansas City.
Yeah, yep. These names are just They're not going to stop. Ron Coomer. Terrible year statistically, but he hit 298.
Let's take a look at the Cy Young Award winners here from 1990 to 1999. See who we're missing out here on pitchers wise. Feel like we're missing some. Okay. Oh yeah, no. 19. Well, here it is. 1990 through 1999. Maddox. Okay. Randy Johnson. That sums that up. All right, let's see the American League. Yeah, Pat Henkin.
Pedro.
Clemens, Eckersley, McDowell in '93 won the Cy Young. David Cohn, Randy Johnson, Pat Henkin, and then Clemens and Pedro Martinez. Wow, Bob Welch in 1990 won 27 games. Give me that guy. Well, is he available? Yes, no one has him.
How does nobody have Welch?
27 wins in 1990 for Bob
you know
Welch.
why? Because he's not listed under the pitchers. If you go to the pitchers, even when you there's no click more, click here for more.
I see. That's why.
You have to do it you have to really expand it in the regular player pool.
So even if you go to pitchers and you go to wins, you don't get him, huh? Okay.
Correctamundo.
I'm gonna put that in the chat here.
For all you idiots who haven't taken 27 wins from Bob Welch, let me tell you.
Okay. I sent it
So let's see. So we're through 7 rounds right now. And all those pitchers did start to finally come off the board. Pettit, Hampton, Musina, 3 of the last 4 picks. Carl Everett in '99. I remember when
Carl Everett.
Right? Remember what a jerk. In case Hayes is watching.
Hayes, thank you, buddy.
In case Hayes is watching. What that Carl, what a jerk.
You know who else I don't see here?
Who?
Steve Avery.
What?
18 wins, 210 innings pitched, 137 strikeouts. Charlie.
You have an amazing brain sometimes. I would not have pulled that name out.
Steve Avery was great in the
Steve Avery.
Yes.
I thought you said somebody else. I thought you said John Mabry. Oh my God. Oh, you remember when Olmedo Science was trying to be a thing for the A's?
Yeah, I do.
That's the best part about looking through all of these names right now, is just looking at some of these. And I do this with Fensty all the time, and I do this with Jim sometimes. We're all just
Gosh, I found another one.
Oh, who?
1993, John Burkett. 22 wins. 3.65 ERA, 231 innings.
What was his whip?
1.14.
Oh, that's surprising. So I remember I was sitting there watching a Braves broadcast, and the broadcaster was saying, as home run off of Burkett, as sure as base runners will circle John Burkett, this will happen. I mean, it was amazing.
Should I tell these people in the chat, or don't? Was that?
Yeah, go ahead, tell them. Tell them. Why not? Todd Zeal still available. Come on, people. Todd Zeal, Dimitri Young. You get Jared Wright.
I want to get a bunch of names in there. Oh yeah, who was on that Indians team of 1997? Let's take a look at.
Jared Wright was on the '98 team.
I think Oral Hershiser may have been on that team.
Oh.
Take a look here. 1997 Cleveland Indians. Who was the man? Charles. Everyone's ERA was in the 5s. Everyone, all of them. How did they get to the World Series that year?
A lot of power, man.
Yeah, the late '90s really changed things around.
Yep.
What are the other World Series champions of the '90s?
These
Didn't the Twins and Blue Jays go back and forth for a while there?
I think so. Let me use that Google machine and just bring it on.
Yeah. All right, 1991 Toronto Blue Jays or Minnesota Twins. Tapani go off the board yet? Tapani had a really good year.
Tapani.
19.
So good.
Oh my gosh, Scott Erickson. Holy cow. 20 wins. 3.18 ERA, but these guys didn't strike out anybody. 108 Ks. 204 innings.
Who was on the mound in 97 for those Marlins?
Levon.
Anyone else?
What was Levon Hernandez's season?
Was Dontrell?
No, that was after that. Let's see what Levon Hernandez was in 1997. It's okay. Not spectacular. Definitely not 1998. You know, Cliff Floyd has to be a good season in 98.
Hey, your boy! How is Cliff? You talk to Cliff often?
Yeah, the other day. He's doing well.
Nice. You send him my best. Tell him I said what's up.
Okay.
Bob Welch did come off the board. Did you name him?
I did not. No, I didn't say anything. And Tapani just went too.
Tapani went as well.
So Burkett is the one now that I think that I would probably try to land.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I mean, yeah. Look at just pitching just being completely attacked.
Yeah, I think you have to. Yeah, I think you have to at this point because everyone's looking at their team and they're like, I got this guy, 40 home runs, 30 home runs, 40 home runs. Oh yeah, I need some pitching.
Oh, maybe I should take some pitching. Jimmy Key in '93 just off the board.
You remember Jimmy Key for being a Yankee, Oriole, or Blue Jay?
I remember Jimmy Key for being a Blue Jay originally.
Sounds right.
I loved him as a Yankee. Mad respect for his wife, his agent.
I didn't know that.
Yep, she was her only client, and this woman negotiated just amazing deals for her husband. El Cid off the board from 92.
Yeah, 92 was a good pitching year. A lot of players were seeing coming off.
Well, again, 90, 91, 92. It was basically after the strike shortened season in 94, and it came back in 95. 96, you started to see all the power, and that was when, and then it built towards that 1998 home run chase. It was like, right. Okay, everybody's getting stronger and bigger. Well, everybody's getting stronger and bigger. Holy moly, look what's going on right now. Baseball saved. We love steroids. Everybody should be shooting up right now.
Let's take a look at another picture. Yeah, this is another one that should be off the board. Check out Howard 1996 Juan Guzman.
Oh, all right. Wait, let me find it here.
Actually, let me see if he's available in this. Hold on, before I even. Okay, so that's a total guess. So they ended up using that season from Guzman. 187 innings, 165 strikeouts, 1.1 WHIP, only 11 wins, but 2.93 ERA. That's a pretty good season right there.
Was that 96?
96, yeah. Guzman won a World Series with the Blue Jays. Good guy, too.
I didn't know him.
Nice guy.
I didn't know him. Well, all right. So Wetland and Bobby Witt come off the board around the turn. We're in round 9. Carlos Baerga.
Great years for the Indians, yeah. They had that core of Baerga, Lofton, Bell, Tomei. How is Albert Bell never even considered for the Hall of Fame? Like, if they're considering all these other guys, how does he not even in that conversation? It's crazy.
He's a jerk.
Yeah,
he was a bigger jerk. Handsome Steve Finley off the board. Joe Carter in 91, baby. Come on.
All right, so
There's your boy John Burkett, 93, the Giants.
Yeah, how about 1993 Greg Jeffries, Howard, with St. Louis?
Don't make me.
Listen to these stats for 1993 Greg Jeffries.
You're gonna hurt me.
342 batting average, 16 home runs, 83 runs driven in, and only 46 stolen bases. When did that happen? Greg Jeffries with St. Louis?
46 steals.
I don't remember that at all.
That's tremendous.
Yeah, someone should take Cliff Floyd. Let's see what Cliff's numbers are. Cliff Floyd of 98, 22 homers, 27 steals, 90 runs driven in, 85 runs, 282.
How about Juan Encarnacion, 33 steals, 19 home runs. Well, there's your boy Ivan Calderon again.
I feel like the Braves had all those championships. So they just basically had Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, and then what they do? They just mixed in Steve Avery a couple of years, mixed in Millwood a couple of years, I guess, right?
Yeah. Basically.
Mets had no pitchers in the 90s? Nothing?
No, wasn't that when they were everybody was looking at like Pulsifer, Wilson, and Isringhausen as like their three best starters?
Dennis Martinez led the league in ERA in 1991. That's not a bad pitcher. Okay, we were talking too much about pitchers. Let's move on to some other.
Yeah, let's talk Pete Incaviglia's batting stance. Can we do that? He's like twisted around. You'd see his back, but then he'd be like rocking back and forth too.
Bo Jackson with Kansas City in 90, 28 homers, 50. I would have to draft Bo Jackson just to have Bo Jackson.
How about this? Look at Jose Offelman. Ooh, Roger Cedeno of the Mets, 66 stolen bases, 313 average in 99.
Luis Gonzalez is going to have that year that he had. Remember, he had like 60 home runs. That's in the next decade. Uh-huh. But in 1999, he hit 26 homers, 336 batting average, 111 runs driven in. You remember Cal Daniels?
No.
He was a Red and a Dodger. Ruben Sierra, 25 bombs, 307.
Biff Roberts with 46 stolen bases.
Paul O'Neill had a really good year for the Yankees in 98.
Yeah, he did. Oh, here you go. Pokey Reese, 38 steals, hit 285, 10 home runs. Second base for the Reds.
Not bad. Good defensive player, too.
Oh, David Segui. Good old standby.
Roberto Kelly, 42 steals, 15 home runs. Johnny Damon, the Royals.
I still bring that trade up to Jim Bowden all the time.
We're going to tell him that Roberto Kelly was a really high pick. It'll make him happy.
No, don't worry. I've already railed him. One of the first shows I did, I said, there's like, I just want you to know, Jim, that my wife was super excited that I was doing a show with you. And he's like, really? I was like, yeah. Huge Paul O'Neill fan. When she was watching him win championships for the Yankees, she was like, where did we get this guy?
Don't you just have to take either Vince Coleman or Kenny Lofton? 77 steals, 70 steals. That'd be so tempting. And just
you do.
Just lead them off.
Well, because here's the thing, is that when you're dealing with this, and
it's like a player that doesn't belong in the era, right?
But it's not so much the player doesn't belong in the era, but why are you not drafting him if you need a leadoff hitter? If you need to put a lineup together, like why aren't you doing that? Homer Bush, 32 steals, 320 average. Homer Bush, Miguel Cairo. Remember that dude?
Yeah, infielder. Kenny Lofton just got taken, and Greg Jeffries. I feel like we're just pushing people toward these players. We should be quiet.
Alex Cole for the Indians, 40 stolen bases.
Eric Davis. Yeah, Eric Davis had a quick career.
Lenny Dykstra had 33 steals, hit 325 for
that's a good one. That's
in 90. In 90.
That's a really good year, but only 9 home runs. You can get that anywhere in this league.
Well, this decade, yeah.
Yeah, you can. It turns out.
Tom Goodwin, Darryl Hamilton. I'm just looking for for stolen bases right now. Just kind of sifting through. There's still a lot of 20-plus stolen base guys available.
Here's another great one. Edgar Martinez. I guess he only qualifies at DH here, but 356, 29 home runs, 113 runs driven in. Man, that's Seattle. How did Seattle never win a pennant with all that? Come on, we got to check out Seattle's pitching here.
Got to deal with the Yankees.
I got to check this out.
How about this one? Pat Listach in 92.
Walkie?
54, 54 stolen bases.
Yeah, there's some guys that don't even really belong in this era. Jamie Moore was pretty much Seattle's best pitcher.
Otis Nixon, 47 steals.
Dennis Martinez of 91, it has to be taken. 2.39 ERA, 1.12 WHIP. I'm taking him right now.
In 1991, Luis Polonia swiped 48 bags and hit 296.
What a great Yankee! That was like the what year was that?
Polonia is 91. This one.
Yeah, the early 90 Yankees, man. Not good. Not good.
Shocker. Steve Sachs in 91. Second base for the Yankees. 10 home runs, 31 stolen bases, hit 304. Don't you say we're not good. Don't you put that on me.
What in the world happened to the Cincinnati Reds? They were so good for so many years.
I know, right? Oh. I remember doing book reports on the Big Red Machine all the time.
Yeah. And not only that, but even into the 90s, they were really good. They've just haven't won anything in so long. It is, but I'll tell you, it is really hard to find pitching. You look at the pitching staffs of any of these teams in the 90s, it's 4s and 5s everywhere.
Yeah.
It's bad.
That's what the juice will get you, Craig. That's what it'll get you. I mean, what are you going to do? Totally different. That's the reason why it's just so funny to try and match these eras up against each other because we have no idea how they're going to play. At this point, no, I know, but at this point we're in round 10 of this draft right now.
Right.
At this point in the 80s draft, the guy who had the most home runs left available on the board was had 16.
I know. And you can still get that. It's so true. Yeah. It is so true.
It was brutal. Brutal. You couldn't find a middle infielder who was hitting his weight and more than 10 home runs. Oh, there you go. Mike Lieberthal off the board.
Finally, 31 home runs.
Your boy.
I got to take a look at what was going on with the 1999 Phillies. That Mike Lieberthal had 31 home runs. Let's see.
He was their main dude. Gotta love it.
Rico Brogna.
Rico Brogna was their first baseman.
Yeah, pretty good. Schilling was there. Robert Person. Man, the pitching was horrible in the night.
God, Robert Person.
Chad OJ.
That's
Randy Wolf.
Oh, I used to have Randy Wolf on my team.
He wasn't bad. Randy Wolf kicked around.
He was pretty good. I liked Randy Wolf.
Why isn't Fred McGriff gone on this guy? What's the problem with
Crime Dog?
1990 Fred McGriff. Oh, he only had 35 homers and hit 300. He can go a last round.
Garbage. There's Darren Dalton going off the board right now. Man, this is hysterical. So far here in round 10, it went Kenny Lofton, Robin Ventura, Rob Nen, Delino DeShields, Jeff Montgomery, Lieberthal, Olerud, Dalton. Mm-hmm. Followed up then by your boys, Alex Fernandez and Dennis Martinez.
How about this one? Starting pitcher in 1992 for the St. Louis Cardinals, Bob Tewksbury.
Ooh.
16 wins, 2.16 ERA, 1.02 WHIP, 233 innings. How many strikeouts?
62.
91. 91 strikeouts and 230 innings? What are you doing, Tewksbury? Are you kidding me? Like Howard, doesn't that tell the story of what baseball is now? Like Bob Tewksbury would never get away with this stuff in the big leagues now. Everyone is swinging up, right? Like back then, it was like level swing, level swing. Everyone's just hitting the ball on the ground. They get you out of first base. What happened when he didn't strike somebody out, Howard? His ERA was only 2.16.
Dude, listen, I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
He just kept hitting the ball on the ground?
Yeah.
I guess so.
I'll pull up his. Here you go. Let me go over to Fangraphs to see if Fangraphs goes back.
1992 Bob Tewksbury, please.
Let's see if they go that far back. Bob Tewksbury. Oh, come on. All right, 92.
Yeah, tell me what in the world happened.
I don't think there's. All right, hey, easy up there, buddy.
Sells is on it.
Yeah, right. I don't think
literally the guy's ERA.
Sells, can the world hear you when you're yelling that?
Literally, the guy's ERA was almost under 2, and he struck out no one the whole year. Like you're going to at bat. Hey, what's he throwing? Nothing. Okay, great. I'll just hit it in the ground and then run to first. Is that that was the plan?
I mean, that's the plan. I mean, you look at they didn't calculate ground ball rates back then, so couldn't tell you.
I know, but what else could it have been? No one. You went up against Bob Tewksbury. You were definitely not striking out. You're not going to strike, but you also were never going to get a hit.
Yeah, that's so funny. He had a 3.52 K per 9. I've seen like outfielders come in a mop-up duty and have a higher K per 9 than that.
It's incredible. I mean, at the very least, this gives us a pretty good exercise as to what in the world was going on in the past. Like, I honestly don't think that anybody could really speak on fantasy baseball in the 80s and 90s without doing something like this. Like, you really are learning what happened back in these eras, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean, again, we but we knew this coming in. Like, I remember the 80s were like it was all about speed. It was all about speed.
That's
and
what it was, for sure.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then I mean, it was the steroids in the mid to late 90s that changed the course of the game completely. And MLB bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. All their marketing was around it.
Yeah, every home
Chicks
run.
dig the long ball. That whole that all that shtick that they would end up with in the late 90s. So I mean, it's. Yeah, it's just funny because then we'll see this. We'll still see this in the 2000s.
Oh yeah,
but as we get to like
years. Right.
But as we get to 08 and 09, we'll probably start seeing some better pitching.
Yeah, for sure.
Very interesting stuff. It's very interesting stuff. There's Vince Coleman. He's off the board.
Yeah, you have to do it. Like, it's just staring at you. Like, you got to do it. So how did the Padres get to the World Series in 1998? Let's see. Greg Vaughn, I know, had one really big year, but I don't think it was, with them. Yes, it was. 50 home runs with Greg Vaughn in 1998. Has he been drafted yet?
I don't think so. I don't know. It's
Oh, they didn't use that season of his. That's weird.
They used 93. What did he do in 93?
30, 97. That's weird, right? That could be a flaw.
Let me take a look. I'm going to go through and check out.
They used the wrong season of Greg Vaughn.
So 30 and 10.
Maybe
267, 369 was his OBP. He had a 5 WAR that year. Yeah, it doesn't matter. He said 98, 50 home runs, 11 stolen bases, hit 272, 363 OBP, had a 5.8 WAR. So yeah, they definitely used the wrong season for Vaughn.
Okay. All right, so listen, I mean, this
is trash. That's it. I'm done, man. This is trash.
And Greg Vaughn had 4 different years of 40 home runs or more. Yeah, Greg Vaughn hit 50 bombs, 1998. Sean Casey has some solid years, too.
Jim's boy.
Yeah, his arbitration story. So anyway, that's where we're at here.
That is where we're at. We're in a pretty good place. I like where we're at right now. Those 91's Twins teams, what did they do? Who was on that?
Jays and Twins were battling it out for a while there.
How many times do I have to click to get back to, Jesus, 91? I can't go all the way back.
I'm checking 91 Pirates. That was a good team, too.
91.
Bonilla, Jay Bell. John Smiley won 20 games in 1991. Zane Smith. I don't remember Zane Smith. Man, had a lot of good pitchers on that team.
All right, let's see. 91 Twins. Who was there?
Kirby.
Kent Herbeck. 20 home runs. See, that's the thing. Nobody hit for power here. The most home runs on that Minnesota Twins team was Chili Davis, who hit 29 as their DH.
Makes sense.
So who was pitching for them? Jack Morris, Tapani, Erickson, Anderson, and West. Rick Aguilera. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's quite the ride, Craig Mish.
1999 Diamondbacks. Not a lot of Arizona guys have gone.
They didn't hit their
Randy
stride until the
Johnson.
2000s.
Wow. Jay Bell in 1999 hit 38 home runs, drove in 112. Matt Williams hit 35, drove in 142. Wow. 99 Diamondbacks could hit. Tony Womack stole 72 bases in 1999.
Oh, yeah. What was that, 98?
99.
99.
And they had no pitching either.
And no pitching. Oh, look at that. Andy Bennis off the board. Not Alan Bennis, but Andy Bennis. Will Clark in 91. Jeff Blauser. These names are just, it's comical. This is taking me back, man. This is taking me back.
Yeah, why not? What else we have going on?
What do you mean? There's so much happening right now. There's nothing going on.
We have a lot of sports being canceled. That's fun.
Oh, dude. It's all canceled already. That's it. Wait, you didn't watch WrestleMania, Craig?
No.
Oh, that's sports entertainment. Oh.
What time is your next show here? 10?
Nope, this is it, man. That's it. Once we're done here, Papa's riding off. He's gonna eat some dinner,
all right,
and probably fall asleep on the couch within like an hour's time. I'm an old man these days, Craig. Just an old man.
All right. Well, we can wrap it whenever you want. I think we got
all right. Well,
a lot accomplished here.
Did we get a lot accomplished here?
Not really, but it felt like it.
All right. So now, when do we start simulating games? Because I made my purchase.
Good question.
Yeah.
So the 80s league, all the rosters will be together. We'll start simulating this week. The 90s league will start simulating next week, and then so on and so forth. But in all likelihood, we're going to have all the leagues completed by May. They'll all be done. So
how long will I have before I hear that I need to set my starting lineup?
Probably like 2 more days or 3 more days.
2 more days, 3 more days?
Yeah, and we're going to get a tutorial also as to just to kind of show you how everything works.
All right. I'm in.
Yeah, no, it's going to be good.
Is it going to be good, Craig? It better be good. It better be. I'm sitting here doing these live streams. I entered one of them, made this purchase. Come on. Entertain me. All right, I'll tell you what. If you can tell me who's the last player taken
I'll
in
tell you what.
round
Let's play this
12.
game. I'll play this game. You name any 10 players, and I got to get all 10 of their teams correct before we go. You can pick any 10 players on the board. My hands are up.
Okay.
Anyone you want.
Anyone I want. All right. Moises Alou in 98.
Well, I don't know if I'm gonna get that. That's hard. Okay. I'll guess.
What were you
Houston.
thinking?
Houston.
What were you thinking this game was going to be?
Houston.
It was Houston, but what were you thinking this game was going to be?
I know it's true. I forgot.
Kevin Apier in 93.
I forgot the Marlins traded everybody in '97.
Kevin Apier in 93. What?
Kansas City.
Yes, that's 2. Doug Drabeck in 92.
Pittsburgh.
Correct. Kelly Gruber in 1990.
Toronto.
Correct. Let's go. Fernando Tatis, 99.
Ooh. Jeez. St. Louis?
There you go. That's 5 in a row right now. Do I start making them a little easier for you? How about Chuck Finley in 1990?
Angels.
That's 6 in a row. Look at you. Look at you. Ruben Sierra in 91.
Oh, Sierra. Oh, man. Ruben Sierra in 91.
Don't screw me on this.
Man, it's either Texas or Oakland.
All right, Texas it is. Good job. That's 7. We're still going. We're rocking. We're rolling. Ken Caminiti, God rest his soul, 96.
Houston. San Diego?
Jesus.
I missed that one?
You missed that one.
All right, so.
I blame myself for not making it easy enough for you. Nevertheless, there's no way I'm sitting here for another 12 rounds.
I agree with you, but let's leave on the note that I hope everybody enjoyed this. We'll do it again next week, and please stay safe out there. Please wash your hands. Please don't go out, so we can all go out in a couple months. It'd be nice to have real baseball back, so we don't have to do this.
Right? We can have like real sports. Please, for the love of God, everybody.
Look what we're down to here. I mean, it's fun because we're all friends, or at least the 3 of us here. But really, like, don't go out, please. We need to be able to go to games.
Save us from ourselves,
Just
dear
like
Lord.
a month. Just like a month. Like, not even. Just like, let's see where we're at the end of April, and then let's assess it. But until then, just stay home. You know there's no sports anyway in April. Like, what do you have to do?
That's going to do it for us here on the Fantasy Alarm live stream. Thanks so much for everybody who's taken part in this draft. Yes, Mike Harrington, you're crushing it right now. Happy hour for the win in the 90s. Brr. From my man Craig Mish and Matt Sells, our producer, I'm Howard Bender of the Fantasy Alarm. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time.